If you're watching this video, you've probably heard that there are new changes in the real estate industry that just went into effect on August 17th. I've been seeing a ton of misinformation out there, especially from real estate agents in my local market. For those of you who don't know, I'm James Clark, your expert when it comes to real estate in the Mahoning Valley. I'm also the current president of one of our local realtor boards here in the Valley, the Beaver Creek Area Association of Realtors. So I feel like I'm someone who's capable of explaining this topic to you properly. Since before the settlement of the Sitzer Burnett trial was even announced, I've been on the front lines consuming this information every single day. I've been on calls with the National Association of Realtors and in discussions with our attorneys at Ohio Realtors. I wanted to make a video to clear the air and discuss everything you need to know about these changes and to help you understand how to navigate the market under these new rules that realtors now have to follow. If you find the information in this video valuable, be sure to save it so you can easily come back to it later. And since you aren't in the trenches every day like myself, I'm sure you will have some questions, so feel free to leave those in the comments. And if you don't want to comment, I've also included a link to my calendar in the description for you to book a 15-minute discovery call with me. Now enjoy the video. There are two major topics I'm going to cover that you need to understand: the new rules on touring homes and the new rules on realtor commissions. But first, let me give you a brief rundown of how we got to this point. The National Association of Realtors and some major real estate companies like Keller Williams and Berkshire Hathaway, to name a couple, were co-defendants in a class action antitrust lawsuit that took place in the Missouri court. From this lawsuit came a settlement. As part of the settlement, the National Association of Realtors agreed to change the practices of their members and MLSs. So that's the brief rundown on how we got here. Now, let's dive into the two major changes that are going to affect how you, as a consumer, navigate the market. There are new rules for touring homes. Realtors or real estate agents who belong to a realtor-owned MLS or a multiple listing service and who are working with a buyer as a buyer's agent must have a signed agreement outlining their duties and services. This agreement must also include the start and end date of the contract and the commission, if any, that's being paid. So what does this mean for you as a buyer? And how does this affect the way you're going to navigate the real estate market? See, in the past, if you wanted to look at a house, you could go online, schedule an appointment, and any agent could show you the house without having to sign any sort of an agreement. Now, after the settlement, if you want to look at a house and the agent showing it isn't the listing broker, that agent must have you sign an agreement in order to show you the property. Now, I understand not everyone is going to want to sign an agreement with the first person they meet, especially a long-term one. Here's how you can navigate the market under these new rules. You still have some choices. The first option is to work with a buyer's agent who can show you the homes and help you navigate the market. The positive side to this is that they must look out for your best interests once you sign that agreement. If you decide to work with a buyer's agent, there are two types of buyer agency agreements you need to understand. One is an exclusive buyer agency agreement, and the other is a non-exclusive agency agreement. The exclusive agency agreement says you can only work with the agent you sign the exclusive agency agreement with and may not work with any other agents. As you could probably imagine, a non-exclusive agreement is the opposite. You can work with other agents and don't have to work with just the one agent that you signed the non-exclusive agreement with. Now keep in mind, there isn't a ton of loyalty when you sign a non-exclusive agreement, because you're working with other agents. So that agent that you sign that agreement with may not be inclined to go the extra mile to help you buy a home. One other thing to think about when signing an agency agreement is the length of the agreement. You may want to sign a short-term agreement up front. That way it gives you a chance to get to know the agent, and if after a month or so you don't feel like you like them or that they're not a good fit, you can move on. So let's say you don't want to sign the buyer agency agreement and you feel comfortable navigating the market on your own. If you still want to view a specific home and you don't want to sign an agreement, you have two options. Your first option is to attend an open house, and that's even if the agent is hosting one. The second option would be to contact the listing agent directly and have them show you the property. Since it is part of their fiduciary duty to their client, they must show the home. Now keep in mind, there are bad players out there, just like in any industry, who might try to take advantage of you. If you contact the listing agent directly, Some may try to have you sign a buyer's agency agreement. Just know that you don't have to. You may be asking yourself, what's so bad about this agreement? And the answer to that is nothing if you understand what you're signing. But this leads me to the next major change, how real estate commissions work. Before these changes, in most cases, a listing agent would meet with a homeowner who wanted to list their home for sale and would negotiate a commission. They would take a portion of that commission and offer it to a buyer's agent to represent a buyer in the transaction. This cooperating commission was advertised in the MLS for agents to see. Now, this practice has changed. Under the new rules, the listing agent will still meet with a homeowner to negotiate a commission for their services, but they are no longer allowed to advertise a cooperating commission to a buyer's agent in the MLS. This means that a buyer's agent doesn't know if they will be paid by the seller if their client completes the transaction. It now falls on the buyer's agent to negotiate their commission directly with their client, the buyer. This change is actually a good thing for a couple of reasons. The old way wasn't very transparent to home buyers because they were left completely out of the loop and had no idea what their agent was even making unless they had a buyer's agency agreement signed beforehand. Now, buyers have more control over what their agent will make because now they can negotiate with them directly. You might be thinking, I don't have enough cash to pay an agent. I can barely come up with the down payment. Well, there's a walk around. Your buyer's representative can still negotiate with the seller to pay the commission through a seller concession. And in my local market here in the Mahoning Valley of Ohio, I'm still seeing sellers overwhelmingly be willing to pay this fee in order to sell their home, so don't panic. Here's my advice on how to navigate the market with these new rule changes. If you're a buyer and want your own representation to help you with purchasing a home, start by interviewing 3 agents who specialize in your local market. Once you find one you're comfortable with, sign the buyer's agency agreement and utilize their services. When it comes time to write the offer, have your agent include their fee in the offer. That way, you don't have to come out of pocket for it. Chances are, if the homeowner wants to sell their home, they'll agree to pay it. Now, if you're a buyer and don't feel the need for your own representation, then go directly to the listing agent. Just be sure you're not signing anything that requires you to compensate the listing agent and that the transaction isn't a dual agency. Remember, you're going up against a skilled professional who doesn't have to put your best interest first. Their duty is to the homeowner selling the house. Here's the bottom line. Yes, there are changes in the industry and how we navigate it. Yes, there will be a learning curve. That's why it's always important to stay informed so you can make the best decisions possible for yourself.